Selfie. Have you ever thought about traveling to India alone as a woman? This Korean woman did, and what seemed like a spiritual journey turned into a nightmare. On the first day, she was surrounded by children who painted her face and tried to steal her bag. Then came the serial harassment, people asking for selfies, a man trying to hold her hand in the middle of the street, and the endless stares. Tried to relax with some food, she got sick. And you can probably guess why, right? Oh, she took a motorcycle? She became a tourist sandwich between two guys, one of them trying to steal her phone. While on the bus, she was simply ejected onto the road in the dead of night. And as if that weren't enough, she was run over, thrown in a hospital, and treated as if she had an ingrown toenail. In the end, she cried in front of the camera screaming, "I hate India." And if you found that to be rather heavy, just hold on, baby. That was merely the appetizer. The true main course of this chaos unfolds later, and you'll definitely want to stay until the very end to witness it. First shock, the children. She had just stepped into New Delhi and immediately thought, I'll wander around, soak in the city's atmosphere, savor the exotic feel. Yet, in less than 10 minutes, that atmosphere transformed into a kid's horror film. Out of nowhere, a smiling woman appears, along with a bunch of kids, all running around her. So far, it looked like a scene from a Coke commercial. But very quickly, the kids started smearing colored paint on her face, painting her forehead, her cheeks, and she even thought, wow, what a warm welcome, what a beautiful ritual. But no. In India, every bit of affection comes with a request for tips. As soon as they finished their artwork, they held out their hands asking for money. And that wasn't all. One distracted her while another tried to reach into her bag. Imagine that. You arrive in another country thinking you're going to experience an ancient culture, and on the first day, you're already running from a gang of professional mini-thieves. It felt like a scene from a Discovery Channel documentary. Here, we observe the wolf cubs in their native environment, circling their prey, awaiting the opportune moment to attack. She grew so desperate that she dashed towards a police officer, believing she'd find salvation there. However, the youngsters remained completely unconcerned. Even with the police nearby, they continued to follow her as if proclaiming, no money, no freedom. First day, first round, first lesson. In India, even kids are born knowing how to pull off tourist scams. And if you found that to be a bit much, just hold on and see who made an appearance right after that. 2. Serial harassment. After escaping the wolf children, she thought, now I can finally catch my breath, relax, and explore the place. But India never truly rests, my friend. Immediately after, a group of students began shouting behind her, "Wait, wait!" and she instantly entered a state of panic. That's it, I'm going to be kidnapped in broad daylight. But no, the young people just wanted to take a selfie with the foreigner. That's right. To them, she was basically Michael Jackson lost on the street. So far, harmless. But the calm lasted less than cheap hotel internet. Then, a guy appears out of nowhere with that dollar store Indian prince vibe sticking to her like gum on a bus seat. She says no, shows her camera, threatens to record, and the guy doesn't even blink. He just kept at it, insisting with complete shamelessness. And when he realized he wasn't going to get anywhere by talking, the guy tried to grab her hand. Just like that, in the street, as if it were completely normal. At that moment, she pulled a Ronaldinho-style move, skillfully evading him and leaving quickly. But the message was clear. There, being a foreign woman was like walking around with a neon sign on your forehead that said, Target. It's bizarre. Some people go to India seeking spiritual enlightenment. By the third day, she had already understood that the only thing she'd find was a flashing red danger alert. Little did she know that this clingy guy was just the trailer for the horror movie that was about to unfold. 3. The hell of stairs. If there's one thing you'll always find in India, it's an audience. At every corner, it felt like she was in an unauthorized reality show. But instead of fans, there were dozens of men just standing there, staring like she was the last drop of water in the desert. And it wasn't a shy glance, you know? Like, oops, was I staring? No, it was a fixed, direct, unblinking stare. The kind of stare that makes you think, did I spill curry sauce on my clothes, or are they actually undressing me with their eyes? And it wasn't just the adults. Even kids began to touch her, brushing up against her as though it were just a playful street game. A boy even touched her in that spot, if you catch my drift, in plain sight, with many people around. They caught the kid in the act, but wouldn't you know it? He remained completely silent. In India, it appears even children grasp the mafia's code: never betray your associates. She had to suppress her anger and just move past it, because shouting, protesting, or calling the police would have been futile there. In that reality, being foreign meant always playing the role of prey, and the urban jungle of New Delhi shows no mercy. How ironic. The place that promises spirituality and detachment is the same one where you can't take 2 steps without feeling like you're in a zoo, except you're the one in the cage. And believe me, the worst hadn't started yet, because even the food got in on the action. 4. Disastrous gastronomy. After so much tension, she thought, you know what? I'm going to relax, try some street food, and get a real taste of India. She found a stall full of people, which is usually a good sign. If it's crowded, it must be good. She sat, ordered, and started eating, but something felt off. Literally, the more she chewed, the more a smell emerged that seemed like a blend of a portable toilet and a crowded Paris subway. Then, she lifts her head and makes a shocking discovery. The food stall was strategically positioned directly in front of a public restroom. Indeed, my friend, each spoonful was accompanied by a 5-star aroma of gourmet sewage. And the most peculiar thing was that the vendor served everything with the utmost enthusiasm, as if it were a high-end gastronomic experience. All she could think was, congratulations, India, you really know how to season food with ammonia and crap. The outcome, she quickly rose, abandoned her plate, and promptly exited the scene. But of course not without drawing attention, because in India, if the food doesn't take you down, the environment makes sure to finish the job. But it wasn't just her stomach that was going to suffer. The next blow came through her ears, literally. 5. Creative scams. If you think you've seen every type of scam, it's because you've never set foot in India. There, the creativity of the crooks deserves an innovation award. In the middle of the street, out of nowhere, a guy offers ear cleaning. You've seen this, right? The guy approaches with an improvised kit, like a special deal, a used cotton swab along with a complimentary infection. She, having read about this on the internet, firmly refused and continued on her way. But that was not the end of it. A girl in black began to follow her through the streets. Initially, it appeared to be a mere coincidence. Okay, she must be going to the same place I am. But the faster she walked, the more the girl sped up, until it became obvious. The girl was stuck to her, just waiting for a chance to snatch something from her bag. That's when she turned around and said, "Why are you following me? Do you want to say something?" "Then say it." And the girl just froze, pretending to look at anything, like a bad soap opera actor. In that moment, she realized, in India, scams don't just come from men in suits. From children, teens, old guys, vendors. It's like the tourist version of the law of the jungle. If you let your guard down, it's over. And just when she thought she'd seen everything, she found herself on a motorbike from a kidnapping film. 6. The death bike. After eluding a child scammer, an inconvenient student, food with a bathroom scent, and even a girl in black attempting to snatch her purse, she thought, now I just need a decent ride, and I'll arrive at the hotel peacefully. Oh, how wrong she was, innocent one. She attempted to hail a taxi via an app, which quoted 100 rupees. However, in practice, drivers often asked for twice that amount, the infamous, "You're a tourist, pay extra charge." She, feeling utterly exhausted, eventually agreed to a motorcycle ride offered by a man. She got on the bike, stifled a laugh at the helmet greasy with hair oil, and thought, okay, this is it. It's going to work out now. But nope. Out of nowhere, another guy appears and just squeezes himself onto the back seat. The scene now, driver in front, her in the middle, and a stranger pressed up behind her, rubbing against her. A tourist sandwich. And the worst part, the second guy was there to steal her phone. Yes, you pay for the ride and you also get a bonus, an attempted robbery. She just thought, Indian Uber pool, it's you, two strangers, and absolutely no safety. And if you believe that was the end of it, just wait until you discover what happened to her bus while stuck on the road. 7. Kicked off the bus. Completely fed up with New Delhi, she decided to flee to Jaipur. She bought the bus ticket thinking, finally, I can relax, sleep during the ride, and put this nightmare behind me. But India has a special talent. Just when you think nothing else can possibly go wrong, it proves you otherwise. The bus was old and filthy. It looked more like a cattle car on wheels. Nevertheless, she made friends with some friendly passengers. They shared bananas and took pictures. It almost had the vibe of a school excursion. But out of nowhere, right in the middle of the road, the driver pulls over and just throws her and another passenger out onto the shoulder of the highway. Confused, she asked, "But isn't this the highway?" The only answer was the driver's silence, speeding off and vanishing over the horizon. Picture it. Night, trucks blaring past, and her dumped on the road like a discarded extra from an Indian film. And to make matters worse, truck drivers would slow down, offering her a ride. Of course, the ride was exclusively for her. The other male passenger was not welcome. And at that point, the journey transforms from tourism into a struggle for survival. After walking for a long time, they managed to get a ride from a good Samaritan, but the lesson had already been learned. In India, you pay for your ticket and get a forced, hardcore backpacking trip thrown in for free. It's the kind of experience no travel guide will mention, yet every foreigner eventually uncovers it. There, even public transport is Russian roulette, especially if you're a woman. And as if being kicked off the bus on the side of the road wasn't enough, the final blow would come as an accident. But hold on, you think your life is bad just because the Wi-Fi went out during the game? Relax, baby. It could be much worse. Imagine being kicked off a bus in the middle of the road in India. Do this. Share this video with that friend who's always complaining about first world problems and write, "See, stop the drama." You haven't yet been forcibly removed from an Indian bus while stranded on the highway. Number 8. The accident. After enduring so many challenges, she believed the worst was finally behind her. But India still had a devastating final blow in store for her. The very next day, as she was casually walking along, a fellow dressed in blue suddenly zoomed up on a speeding motorcycle and bam, violently knocked her right over. The pain was instant, her body on the ground, her spine on fire. And the driver? He just stood there from a distance, watching as if he had knocked over a traffic cone. No reaction, no concern from him. Now just think with me for a moment. Anywhere else, to run someone over is a tragedy. However, in India, it appears to be merely another minor detail in the daily routine. Her good fortune was that by chance, a documentary film crew happened to be nearby. They rushed over, called an ambulance, and provided first aid, while the individual responsible for the accident maintained a "not my concern" expression. And the greatest irony was that even at that moment, the blogger still had no idea this accident would merely be a warm-up for the next stage of her nightmare, the Indian hospital. But can you believe the hospital managed to be even worse than getting run over? 9. The Hospital of Despair. After being run over with her spine throbbing, all she wanted was one thing: decent medical care. However, a hospital experience in India feels almost like undergoing a second round of torture. They took her to the best hospital in the region, where a doctor even introduced himself as the head of the department. Fancy, right? In reality, the doctor examined her like he was just casually patting an old couch's back. He didn't order any tests, no x-ray, nothing. He just gave her a quick pat and said, "No bleeding? Then everything's fine. Take these tiny pills and go home." She, in shock, pleaded, "Please, at least an imaging test. It could be severe. But Dr. Zen insisted, relax, take some pain relief, and return tomorrow if it still hurts. Imagine this scene. You get run over, you can't even walk properly, and the doctor treats you like you're complaining about a hangnail. And the most absurd detail? The person who had to take her to the hospital was the very guy who ran her over. Yes, the same guy who knocked her off her bike became the victim's official ride. And of course, on the way, he was still driving like he was trying to drift in the Fast and the Furious. That's when you realize that at an Indian hospital, you don't leave with a diagnosis. You leave with a prescription for cheap medicine and the certainty that your life is worth less than the chaotic traffic outside. And it was at this point that the Korean woman who dreamed of seeing India finally burst into tears. Des, emotional breakdown. I hate India. After scams, harassment, an accident, and even a third-rate hospital, it was the last straw. Lying in her hotel room with a fever, body aches, and a broken spirit, she turned on the camera and just broke down. I hate India. I hate India. She kept repeating it, crying as she struggled to explain, everyone is trying to deceive me. Scams, scams everywhere. And then comes the cutting detail. The Indian man still had the shamelessness to say, but it's because you're beautiful. She, in a fit of rage, retorted, no, it's because I'm a foreigner. This was the turning point. The trip stopped being just a travel hardship and became a trauma. It wasn't just about her being a woman, Korean, or beautiful. It was about constantly being seen as a target, a walking wallet, 24 hours a day. It's ironic some people come back from India saying they found spiritual peace. She came back enlightened too, but with rage. And what's most powerful, she didn't turn off the camera. She wanted to record this real emotional breakdown, showing that behind the beautiful Instagram photos, there's a trip that can turn into a personal hell. But the most curious thing is that, in another country, her experience was the exact opposite. Check this out. Number 11, her comparison with China. And now, for the most astonishing detail. This was not her initial journey. Before India, the vlogger had been to rural areas of China, and wow, it was like another planet. Whereas in India, children attempted to get their hands into her purse, in China, it was the youngsters who shared their own snacks with her, giggling and demonstrating how to wash hands in the stream. While in New Delhi, the taxi driver made up prices on the spot, there the drivers would stop just to give her a free ride. Clean roads, smiling people, real hospitality. The difference was stark. It wasn't about luxury, it was about respect. While India left her in tears of anger, China brought effortless smiles to her face. It's the kind of culture shock that leaves you wondering, how can two neighboring countries treat a foreigner in such opposite ways? And so, the audience feels two emotions simultaneously. Relief, seeing that not every journey is a nightmare, and outrage, because it becomes clear how much the tourist experience is wholly dependent on how the local culture perceives the outsider. So, after that roller coaster of chaos, I ask you, would you still have the courage to travel to India? Because look, the Korean girl left there crying. I was traumatized just from watching, and you're probably thinking, thank God my biggest worry today was the line for bread. So do this. If you've survived this far, comment Indian Nightmare below. I want to see who's warrior enough to make it to the end of this video without turning it off in agony. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out the next video that's already popping up on your screen. I promise you the next story won't give you indigestion, or perhaps it might, but at least you'll get a good laugh out of it. Thanks everyone, and see you next time.